All right, let's talk inflammation. So I wanted to mention I was going to bring up the Aaron Rodgers story. So something he's somebody I kind of still follow in professional sports just from a longevity standpoint, like the way he plays. And his approach into how he kind of takes care of himself, or at least just implements anything, is sort of just straight antagonizes the traditional methods and model that pro sports offer from a performance or healing standpoint. So I like seeing that. But he has been said to have, he's drinking now a drink that he has that somebody suggested, water mixed with a shitload of cayenne pepper. And it's like been called the fountain of youth or whatever, the holy grail, and then somebody said it was for inflammation, or said that he said that. I don't have any idea why he's doing it. I'm not here to speculate on why he's doing it, but I do want to look at because everybody would go, well, at least he's not taking the little manila packet of drugs that they give him after games. And so here's the deal. Inflammation in all its forms, because again, science and medicine, they'll come up with research and they'll try to confuse you with different tiers of inflammation, different types of inflammation for a different organ or tissue or system or subset, and they'll claim it's different. It's different in the gut than it is in the joint, than it is in the heart, than it is in the brain. Inflammation is just a healing response, bottom line. That's all you need to know. You don't even need to know the name of it. You just need to know, I don't feel well, and this hurts, and it's bigger than the other, or I feel like swollen, or I feel, that's all you need to know. But we know too much because we think that knowing more is going to help us implement more, and it actually has us stepping backwards more, and becoming more in the dark and cloaked and wool pulled over our eyes. So inflammation is a healing response to damage. Damage from what? It could be anything. I could be sitting here, lying to myself, and I could be developing damage that body would have to get my attention with. In the inflammatory response, it's just a response to your organism, your body in life. It could be anything. It could be anything you've been doing. That's why to pin it on a root cause doesn't make sense. To say that inflammation is a precursor to all these other things, no, it's not. That's like moving is a precursor to injuries, because every injury occurs with a moving. What? There's just things that happen all the time, and if we pay attention to those and use those, they're a power, not something to be feared or something to be fixed or treated. So inflammation, just the body's general response to healing yourself. You need it. If it wasn't there, you wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. So to directly go in and do anything to lower the inflammatory response, or to even think you're lowering it, directly gets in the way of the healing mechanism of the body. Perfect. Simply put, I've said this all along, why you don't ice injuries. Perfect. Why we don't want to compress anything. That doesn't make sense. So we want this to happen if we go in with any form of anything. So now take drugs, medications, whatever level that they're implementing them on. I said this in my book. They're not a heat-seeking missile. They don't just go to a site and reduce inflammation in that site. They're reducing the mechanism, stopping the mechanism of inflammatory nature everywhere. So now you're affecting everything. Plus, then you have to digest that drug. You have to process the drug, and that's not a bad thing. If you can digest anything, it's not going to affect you one way or another. But this is the biggest point of where it will affect you. Not the toxicity of the ingredients, what it actually does. So it's not a side effect. The effect is it reduces the healing response globally, body-wide. Okay. So now we're going to get creative because we think our ancestors, or we think we can even think of interpreting what our ancestors did. So now we have cabinets full of anti-inflammatory foods and spices and herbs and tinctures and all these things that are in bags and cabinets and bottles that are natural. Oh, dolphins. Here's the thing. If we are under the premise that we are going in and utilizing turmeric or cayenne or black pepper or black seed oil or, cod liver, like whatever the thing is going to be, you are doing the same thing. You're getting involved in the same mechanism and in disrupting the same mechanism that the body's trying to do as the medication. And then everybody will go, but it's healthier because it's not. I get it. Black pepper versus a pharmaceutical. I get it. You guys love to go there. That's not what we're talking about. That's a no fucking shit obvious thing. At the baseline of why are you doing it, you're still getting in the way of healing, whether you choose a kid's balloon or whether you choose a missile. It's still a very, very disruptive response effector that you are doing, with the response being, I just want to heal. I just want to feel better. Okay, feeling better and healing appropriately are two different things. So that's why in my book I had to make that correction, because even my writer, when I said, NSAIDs and over-the-counter stuff and no icing injuries and no this, that, and he's like, well, we have to offer them an alternative. And I was like, the alternative is the entire book. And he's like, I know, but that's not how America works, or that's not how readers work. I was like, what do you mean? We have to give them a specific alternative and basically spoon feed it. And I was like, okay, I guess coconut oil and cayenne pepper instead of like Bengay to rub it on. I was like, I don't know, like, what's the thing that'll do the least and get in the way the least if we're having to do that? And then I was like, I don't feel comfortable in this. That's why I went in and made that change. And even the section on turmeric and all that. Do I flavor my food with turmeric? Of course. Do I flavor it with cayenne? Of course. Why? The taste is fantastic. To heal a growth, or to heal brain inflammation, or to heal my response to how I've treated people in relationships, or to heal my response and my stress levels to jobs and no sleeping and this. No, of course not. And if that's the driver and the intention, then you've missed what food is. You've missed what the spice is for. I have no problems with cabinets full of things for emergency situations. And as I said, when you start living in a way that is how the body kind of works, emergencies take on a new form. There's really nothing that's really an emergency ever. It's really rare that you would be in an emergency situation that you would need this ancestral, and you aren't your ancestors. You live here right now at this time. And if ancestry stuff worked, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I have a whole thing on living how people lived hundreds of years ago. It didn't work. It wasn't ideal. Clearly, if it would, that would have been here. So you are here right now, utilizing the things that we have access to right here, right now, to the best of our ability. You are not 100 years ago. You're right here, right now, and the rules still apply. Get in the way of a natural response without understanding why that response is there, and you directly antagonize the healing response of the body. And what's the body going to have to do? Create more of what you got in the way of. And then more, and then layer it, and then spread it out. Just like if you were to not tend to a blister on your foot, more blisters would show up. The blister would get bigger, it would spread, it would go to other parts of the foot. Oh, is that metastasizing? No. The body's healing response is just growing more to get you to fucking change your shoes, or stop walking barefoot on hot sand, or whatever the thing is, or get your skin stronger to be able to handle the environment. What affects skin? Every single thought, single thing you think, do, and say in a day. So you got to go into every element of your life. So again, this whole thing on like illness spreads, not any more than a blister spreads on your foot when you don't pay attention to it and make changes. Done. And again, you don't make changes to fix it. You make changes to understand, why was it there? Why is this going on? What's some deeper than others? In pro sports, though, they have to break rules. They're breaking one of the biggest rules in healing, which is trying to speed up a natural process of healing to fit a six-day break in between games, or a schedule. That's why lifting training programs don't make any sense, because you're putting somebody into a time frame, and the body's on its own time, and everybody's different. So I would even when I work with professional athletes, or have had work with professional athletes, if they're going to break rules on some of that stuff from a time standpoint, then you have to maximize the other stuff so much so that you can sustain the rules you're breaking in those other areas. But the majority of people watching this aren't professional athletes, and you don't live like professional athletes, you don't train like professional athletes. You don't do things like professional athletes, so it doesn't make sense to compare yourself or do anything that a professional athlete would do, which is comical because we tend to do things that Olympians do or that, high-end movie stars always like, or do things like anybody does. But again, whether it's cayenne pepper, whether it's it needs a prescription, a drug, whether it's a food, whether it's safely you can buy it at a grocery store, or whether you have to go to a pharmacist to do it, they're coming from the same place. It's the story, it's the intention, it's the reasoning you are doing it behind it that is the problem. And we foresaw this a long time ago. All this anti-inflammatory nourishment, anti-inflammatory diet, all this stuff is going to be a huge problem because you're directly going in and getting involved with interrupting the body's natural processes to the response in your life. And if you disrupt the natural process, geez, man. No. It's all good. It's all good. Are these Santa Anas? If you disrupt the natural processes, then you also can't feel what needs to change, why it needs to change, how your body responded to the change, because we just can't feel anything. We don't sense anything, and that's one of the biggest things. How do you know what you're supposed to do next? How do you know what you're changing? How do you know what you need to understand about the healing that you're going if you can never feel it, if you can never see it, if you can never process it? That's one of the biggest stories that is going untold in all of medicine. So I will continue to watch Aaron Rodgers. I love how he just does whatever he wants to do, and it flies in the face of everything. But again, it's still, from a basic standpoint, he's breaking rules. They know it. They're gladiators. You got to break rules when you're playing professional sports. You have to if you're going to survive in them. You got to break rules, but then where we break rules, we offset everywhere else. If you're not doing that, we don't have to break as many rules. And you'll get to pick and choose where you're going to break the rules and when you're not. And then you know exactly what the predictable response is going to be from your body. And then what you have ownership on if you do break a rule. You need to own all of it, whether you are hurt by somebody or do the hurting to somebody. It doesn't matter what system it's in, doesn't matter what level it's in. But inflammation is a very, very good thing to be used, to be understood, to be seen. We would not be here if it wasn't for one of those basic processes like just the inflammatory response. And truthfully, we're not even supposed to know about it. Careful how much you know. If what you know is getting in the way of your peace or getting in the way of to try to diffuse nature or to try to speed up things or cliff note stuff, the things you're going to need to know are just going to be within you and your experience within everything that you get to do, think, and say in a day. That's why I've said that the next podcast or the next book that you should be reading is the next experience you have in your life. Right now I'm having coffee early in the morning on a beach. This is my podcast. This is my book that I'm reading right now. What am I going to learn? I don't have any idea. But that's where we gain everything we are to gain if we're looking to continue our research or continue our education. Or what do I need to know? I feel like there's so many words and so many things out there that need to be understood. You won't need to know any of it. It's just you with you. Oh! Inflammation. That's